Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome one more time to our virtual tours. And I am glad to receive all of you to start with this new course about the Maya gods, about the Maya deities. Here in World Virtual Tours, in the tours I have hosted and now in the courses, the Maya are the topic that generates the most interest among all the attendants. So welcome. You already know me. My name is Alfredo Olivares. I'm a tour guide here in Mexico, all over Mexico, based in Mexico City. And I have prepared this course for you as an introduction to all the complex Maya system of deities and gods. Okay, so today we're going to learn the basics about this, and I hope during all this course we can became, if not experts, of course, but to know very well all these complex world of the ancient beliefs, not only about the Mayas, but very similar to many different civilizations in Mesoamerica. Hello to all of you. Let me know where are you connected from today. Hello to friends in Maryland, and to all of you guys. Okay, let me know please in the chat if you are ready. Let me know where you connected from, and let me know what do you know about the Maya, if you have attended previous tours or the course that will finish on Thursday about the numbers, about the mathematics of the Mesoamerican, the pre-Columbian worlds. Hello to our friend Mark in UK, also in Ontario, Canada. We have some friends. Hello to Cologne in Germany, to Abby. And Bianca mentioned that's a brand new subject. And welcome, Bianca. And regards to England. Hello to Mar, our friend, most one of the most current attendants. Hello to our friend Jenny in Scotland. Hello to Claire in UK. Hello also to Gift in England, in Cologne, in New York City, in Outer Banks, North Carolina, I guess, right, Lori? Really enjoying your course, Decoding Mesoamerica. Okay, Ellen, thank you, Anna. I hope all of you also enjoy this course today. Hello to friends in Boston, to Mark, to our friends in South Carolina, in Canada, North Carolina, Lori, Hawaii, USA, and aloha, of course, to all our friends today. Okay, this will be a 45-minute class, a 45-minute session, and with a few minutes at the end for questions and answers. Okay, let's wait just one more minute for all the attendants to arrive, and in the meanwhile, I just want to remind you that this project is solely funded by your donations. With all your cooperation, I can keep doing all these for free, and virtual tours can be existing with all the tours and courses from all the guys from free. Okay, so at the end, if you like this course, this session, you can donate. Okay, and hello to our friends also in UK, to Jonas. Okay, so let me know if you're ready to begin. If you have any expectation about this course, let's comment in the last seconds before we are starting receiving all the attendance. I think there will be a bit more starting this session. Roberta is ready. Joyce in Arizona is ready. And let's begin then with this tour today, guys, okay? With this class, with this session, and with all this course that will be divided in 4 different sessions during all the Tuesdays, mainly of October, okay? So I will close the chat now for you to be more comfortable. The chat will be open again at the end for you to comment, for you to mention all and to ask questions if you have some at the end. Okay, so let's start with this course. What are the course contents in these 4 different sessions? In this first session, we are going to speak about the origin of the Maya religion. Okay, of course, it was not just spontaneous ideas of any group of people living in the nowadays in the Yucatan Peninsula and the southern part, but it has a complex origin, and it is also linked and related to other civilizations, prior civilizations, and also they share their knowledge with many different other cultures around. Okay, when we speak about the Maya, when we speak about Mesoamerica, we can consider that if we know something about one god, it's very similar to other cultures. Very, let's say that the Maya had their own gods, but also the Aztec had their own version of, but mainly of the same gods. Okay, the Aztec, the Maya, the Zapotec, the Otomi, we're speaking about the same, but in different versions. Okay, and of course different versions also in the mythology. In the next sessions, we will have a description of all the Maya pantheon and the realms of existence. Okay, all the full group of Maya gods. We're going to study one by one, at least the main, and what are their meanings, their names, their powers in some cases, and also where they lived. Okay, what are the realms of existence, the 4 points of the universe, and an upper world and an underworld according to the ancient Maya beliefs. Okay, we will speak again, as in the previous courses, about the astronomy, but in this case, all these stories related to the stars, to the celestial bodies like the planets, all what is linked to the planet Venus, for example, no, the god Kukulkan, and we will explain more about the Maya zodiac. Remember that the Maya had a specific calendar only regarding the energies of the universe, the energies of the planet, and so we will speak about how these energies influenced you in your during your birth date, and also during all the planets during the specific dates. Okay, and we will speak in also in the next sessions about the Maya syncretism. Okay, how the ancient Maya belief survived and still exists nowadays, but mixed in synthesis with the Catholicism after 1521, when the conquest of the Mesoamerican region was performed by or made by the Spaniards. Okay, so let's start with today's first lesson. And as in the previous courses, we need to understand the people, how this continent was populated. This is very important also according to or also regarding all these ancient beliefs, all these ancient people, and the race of these new ideas. Okay, so let's consider that the peopling of Americas happened about 20,000 years ago. There are other versions that speak about 40,000 years ago, but mainly this is the main version. Okay, so they started first crossing the Bering Land Bridge, and starting from the coast to go south, looking for better weather. Okay, all these ancient people from Central Asia migrated through this point. First, they were gatherer hunters, and it was about the year 5000 before Christ, before our time, when they became sedentary, thanks mainly to big time to the agriculture. Okay, let's consider that these first societies also in this continent were hunter-gatherers, and they lived on caves. They were nomadic, and they started performing some different rituals or preparations for the hunting, but it was nothing compared with all the worship it happened when they became agricultors. Okay, so let's consider that we are going to speak mainly about the Maya region that is within the Mesoamerican area, okay? Under the Tropic of Cancer, we have these evergreen lands. So most of the people, most of these groups that first migrated from the north chose this space, chose this place to select their lands, their definitive lands, okay? So this is the Yucatan Peninsula, okay? And the southern lands, this is basically all the Maya region, okay? All the place where the Maya civilizations, the Maya cities developed back in the times, okay? We will speak, of course, about all the proper cities they built here and how they were organized, okay? We are speaking mainly about big city states with a great power in the region. It was not a centralized power like a federation, but different city states that existed during different times too, okay? Some of the most famous we can speak about Palenque over here in the classic Maya period. We are going also to explain all these different periods. We have a Palenque here in the mountains of Chiapas, in the current Mexican state of Chiapas. The famous Chichen Itza is on top, basically the most northern city of all of them, and it was part of the post-classic period. Actually, it was the last big Maya cities. We have other famous like Tikal in Guatemala and Copan in the current Honduras, okay? Let me show you other view of all these different kingdoms, all these regions of the Maya world, and we see big cities in many cases with small populations, with small towns around, okay? Some villages, other famous cities close to Cancun. We have Cancun over here and Tulum, other big city close to the coast. Most of this part of the north was more powerful during the post-classic period, and during the classic, we mentioned Palenque. We're here. We mentioned Palenque. We mentioned also other important was Calakmul and Tikal, these two cities that had a warfare during centuries practically, okay? Also other cities more to the south, we mentioned also Copan here in Honduras. Even El Salvador had or still has Maya remains, Maya vestiges. Guatemala, Belize, all these cities developed more or less the same system of believings back in those days. Okay, let me know at the end of the tour if you have visited one or some of these different cities. Uxmal in the low mountains of Yucatan are other famous. We have here other churches that indicates the modern colonial cities made by the Spaniards, like Merida. Okay, with this overview, we can understand the context. Okay, mainly all of this is jungle. From this part to the north, it is the Caribbean Sea and it's a lowlands, practically flat, with a lot of cenotes, but lack of rain in many cases. And all this southern area is mountainous, especially from Tikal to Palenque and to Honduras. It is all mountains, also with a jungle and a tropical climate. Okay, all this context is necessary to understand why they chose these lands and how the religion developed here. So this is another view of the Maya worlds, but I want you to notice something here, okay? In this part of the map, okay? This medium part, let's say, of the Maya world, of the Maya map. Let me make here, let me point over here that we have one archaeological site over here that is called La Venta. La Venta is previous to all these other big cities or towns that I mentioned before. Okay, this La Venta site, it is an Olmec site. Okay, so we need to understand that in the most accepted theories, according to all the archaeological and historic research, all the, let's say, the Mayans inherited all most of their knowledge and most of their religious system from previous civilizations, in this case the Olmec. Okay, so let's understand a bit more about the Olmec to better understand the Maya religion and all this system of beliefs they had. Let me erase and let's continue with presentation. So let's consider that most of the Maya knowledge, it is we can know much about the Maya, especially in contrast with other cultures, because the Maya were the only ones, the only civilizations that had a proper writing system. Okay, so let's consider that the Maya language was very, of course, important and common in all the lands, even with the different variations. And still, there are 2 million people in Mexico that speak one of the 44 current versions of the Maya language, not only in the southern part of Mexico and Peninsula, but also in Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Still 2 million people speak this, even when, of course, the writing system have changed a lot. It's not anymore the hieroglyphic system. Let's remember that starting from around the year in between 5,000 or 2000 before our time, the Mesoamerican populations became sedentary, and this was a crucial condition for the emergence of societies complex enough to be called civilizations. Okay, despite all the differences among them, and they had in common the religion, the economy, and the intellectual and artistic expressions. These are some of the products that can be found in the region. The cocoa, one of the most important, it is the corn. Okay, with this transition, they also domesticated the corn, speaking about and especially speaking about the Olmec civilization and all the hires of them. This is how the first Maya villages and around the Olmec sphere look like, and still is how many Maya people live nowadays. Most of them, or many of them, with plantations around. In this case, we have a plantation of corns, and this is the same way of life as all the regular people that lived there in Yucatan more than 2,000 years back. With the agriculture, remember, there's a growing concern about ensuring the good harvests in the region, in all this region. Okay, so they had two options to ensure good harvest. One is to measure when it's the better time in the year for the plantations, for harvest, etc. So they developed the astronomy, and with that, it's a method of calculation of in what part of the year you can start with the plantation. Okay, but the other methods they have to ensure the good harvest, it was to worship. Okay, it was the religion, it was to invocate the energies of the universe, the retrieving energy to the universe and generating a cycle, a virtuous cycle with these deities, with these gods, with these energies. Okay, so most of the ancient beliefs here are the result of trying to invocate these energies for having resources, for having enough resources to keep living. Okay, we mentioned the astronomy and the religion with the perform of different rituals. They developed the calendar that we mentioned, and this is one example of how they measure these two different things they needed to have control. One is the weather, with the weather and all the natural phenomenon, with a 365 days calendar. And they also had a ritual calendar that tried to measure the energies, the more subtle or subtle energies, in order to understand and in order to can predict the future. So they had other calendar. They had many, but mainly two calendars. The one of 365 days, and the other are 260 days that, let's say, measure the different energies in the planet, in the region, in the cosmos, let's say. So they developed these different observatories that we mentioned in the previous tours, like this one in Chichen Itza. But all this materiality, all this study of the materiality will be never separated from the spirituality, okay? They will consider all the elements in the sky also like energies, also like forces that can influence the planet, that can influence all the people that live here and all the living things that live in this planet, okay? There's a very beautiful thing to say about the Orion Nebula, but we will speak about that in the further classes, okay? Other observatories, other cities, they developed with all this knowledge. That was a mix between understanding and measuring the cosmos and worshiping at the same time, like this beautiful Tikal in Guatemala. Other rituals that we will explain in this course, like the ball game court. And we see again the Maya region. Okay, so let's understand the origins of all this region, and let's consider that the Maya civilization flourished in the ruins of the Olmec civilization on the Gulf of Mexico coast. The sites of San Lorenzo and La Venta, for example, were Olmec, and they were there from around the year 1100 before Christ, okay? These were highly planned urban centers, like these ones. This is Tres Zapotes in the current Mexican state of Veracruz. They had this remodeling of the landscape that transformed all the natural terrain, serving as architecture. Their monumental sculpture, mainly in the form of these round sculptures, these big heads, famous of the Olmec civilization, are some of the most famous. Let's consider that for the experts, for the people that have studied the Olmec culture, it is one of the most mysterious civilizations, because with the Maya, for example, we can notice that they started with a few small villages and then they started to grow, but not in the Olmec. Even when they are prior, they exist prior to the Maya, they developed these big cities like spontaneously. There's no evidence about an infance of the civilization, about it is a very, very quick development of their cities, which speak about a really important knowledge that was really quickly assimilated by this culture to start growing so fast. Okay, that's why many people speak about maybe aliens or maybe an exterior source of knowledge that could influence or motivate the Olmec. Okay, of course, in my opinion, it's only that they discover something, maybe something that we don't know nowadays, but a different type of energy, maybe a different type of a explanation of the nature, so they could develop so fast. That's only my opinion. Okay, the Olmec also developed the stela, I mean the writing system and the mathematical system that we studied in the previous course. We have the stela C, that is for many experts, the most ancient document in the Americas. We have Olmec numbers here, very similar, practically identical to the Maya numbers, and it is here a number, okay, that is represented in this stela. Let's consider again that the Olmec overlap in time with the Maya, but not with other civilizations, only with the Maya and the Zapotec. The blue and the orange overlap with the purple of the Olmec, okay? So only these two lines, maybe they made or they brought all this influence, all this culture to the further civilizations like the Aztecs. In the case, speaking about the Maya, the first Maya of the classic periods, there's the flourishment, let's say, it is about the year 1500 before Christ, BC, okay? 1500 BC. Before that, the Olmec were already there. We are speaking about the pre-classic, okay? All that happened before the year 250 AD. Okay, the Maya also mixed with the Zapotec in some cases during this pre-classic, okay? All the big cities started around the year 300 BC to the year 300 AD. So it starts the classic period of the Maya. Different cities like Palenque and Tikal that we mentioned, development of the calendar and the writing also happens in the first stages of the classic period. And the classic period ends around the year 900 with the Maya collapse, okay? The classic Maya cities are abandoned. There's still a mystery. There are, of course, many possible reasons. Maybe it's a group of all these reasons, all the Maya collapse, but only the hybrid cities subsisted after that, like Chichen Itza, that it's actually not totally a Maya city, but a hybrid between Maya and Toltec civilization. Okay, so after this, after the year 900 AD, comes the post-classic periods that will end with all the decline and the collapse, and it will end around the year 1519, mainly in 1519 or 1521, when the Spaniards start the conquest, the advance after the defeat of the Aztecs of all this territory. Okay, after the year 1300, there were only scattered small villages of the Maya. The big cities were totally extinct before the arrival of the Spaniards, centuries before the arrival of the Spaniards to these lands. So let me show you one of the most important Olmec idols, Olmec figures, that is in one of the most important museums of Mexico. This is a representation of a young man sitting down holding a jaguar baby. The baby has the face of a jaguar. So this jaguar baby or baby jaguar is a mythological character frequently found in Olmec mythology and art. Okay, so this is very important to understand. Okay, they are starting to represent the humans, but with a mix with animals, which means in many cases that the humans are acquiring or are invocating the powers, all, let's say, the strengths of the jaguar. Also, the animals were associated with elements. In this case, the jaguar is also associated with the water. This statue is famous for probably depictions of supernatural beings through the incisions of that we can find also in the face of this character. Okay, we see other examples on how they started with this mix of concepts. Okay, the animals or the human in this case, but with non-human faces. Okay, this statue here is called, the one that we first saw is known as El Señor de las Limas, the Lord of Las Limas. Las Limas is the town where it was located. they used to carry these figures. So it was an itinerant tradition to bring these different figures from one town to another and then start the worship where it was needed. In the case of the Olmec civilization, this is the altar number 5 found in La Venta, also from the Olmec culture. And we see again one lord carrying a baby in the entrance of what it seems to be a cave. Okay, in the next sessions, when we speak about the realms of existence, we are going to understand a bit better what's the deep meaning of the caves. Okay, the caves are the origin for most of the ancient civilizations, in this case the Olmec, and after that the Maya. The Lord of Las Limas have these different carvings in shoulders and knees. These different carvings are faces of what we first start considering deities. Okay, this is not only animals or not only elements like fire represented, but they are putting faces, and with faces we know we can tell stories. We know they have interaction with other in society, with other gods maybe, and even with the humans. So with this understanding, we can start considering deities or gods, not only invocations or animals or invocations of natural forces, but they represent some of them, or they have powers that they can also create or invocate themselves. Okay, we have deities related to the fire, the fertility, the creation, and the death. Okay, also it is very important to consider that we are always will be speaking about opposites. The clash of opposites will be will have as a result a synthesis. That's mostly, or in most of the cases, is the creation. Okay, so for the creation, opposite forces must clash, and so new things will be born. Also, in the face of the Lord of Las Limas, we see carvings related to the corn. These different pieces here are related to corn, the most important agricultural product in the region, of course. And we see other not human face being right here in the front part of the mouth and jaws. Okay. Also, with the baby, we not only see the face with the jaguar shape, but carvings. This cross over here related to one of the most important concepts for all the Forter Maya religion, all the cardinal points that points to a center. Okay, this is important because this is their representations, the representation of the universe. Okay, for them, the place where we live, the space where we live, is really important, and we need to understand all the movements of, in this case, the celestial bodies and the elements of the nature, because they will also move within this space. So they will move north and south, east and west, and above us and underneath us. Okay, so that concept of center, it will be later the reason why they developed the zero, because we need a center, we need a starting point for all the rest things, all the other things to happen. So, overlapping with the last part of the Olmec civilization, it starts the Maya civilization. Okay, also with big cities, with big buildings and monuments. That's in of course we can think that they also took this knowledge from the Olmec, how to build all these structures. Like in this case, we have La Venta in Guatemala that was built in the starting of the classic Maya period. The classic Maya period starts also with the construction of these big cities. This is the full area of El Mirador in Guatemala. But most of the cities, most of the buildings will be also related to these forces, these supernatural forces. No, we know that they represented the elements, they represented the powers of the natural forces, like the face of the animals, and also they had the gods with human faces for deities. We will see an example of that a bit later, okay? In this case, this pyramid in La Danta in Guatemala is a jaguar-faced deity that is carved on this limestone. This is the material that the pyramid is made with. So, coming back to El Señor de las Limas, a deity related to corn, we can see now the Maya version of the Lord of Las Limas, the Maya maize gods. Okay, so let's today for this session to focus on know a bit more the Maya maize god, and so we can understand all how they wanted to depict their deities, how the Maya also wanted to have stories about their gods and how they performed different rituals in honor to these gods. We need to consider that a source for all this knowledge is, we can find it in the books. In this case, the Popol Vuh. We have various sources to deeply understand all the ancient Maya gods we're going to discuss, such all the archaeological work, all the iconographic interpretation of the Maya writing, as well as the modern ethnography, since many present Maya communities should preserve beliefs and practices related to those practices more than 2,000 years ago. In the case of the legends and the mythological stories, an important source of information is in the Popol Vuh, a text that brings together many of the Mayan traditions and sacred concepts. It was written by the order of the Spanish friars after the conquest, a few decades after the conquest of the territories of Mexico, and in this case, Yucatan, and the Central America by the Spaniards. Okay, so this book was made in the colonial times, but the friars asked, the religious authority asked the populators of the Maya region to tell their stories, their ancient stories. Let's consider that the first conquistadors destroyed all the Maya documents, destroyed all the Maya stele that had this information, but the friars wanted to know and to understand this, so they asked them to rewrite all their stories, okay? So we know that the Maya maize gods, known as Yumkash or Hamun, let's remember that there are more than 40 different versions of Maya language, so we will have different names for him. And this is the figure that has been found in many different Maya cities along the Maya region. He's regularly portrayed as a young man or a baby, always with this elongated heads or an elongated hat or crown. That is representation, of course, of the ear of corn, okay, a piece of corn. He's naturally also associated with fertility and abundance. So he's only one of the many different deities associated with fertility, but in this case, he's one of the most important, as the corn was the main elements, the main foods. And also it is very important because one reason I'm about to tell you, okay? He is depicted again with this elongated head or crown and performing agricultural activities and in many cases holding plants and of course holding pieces of corn. Part of the rituals, it was the music. Let's consider that when I speak about the invocations of the natural forces for the rituals and retrieving the universe, the energy, I am speaking about things that for us can be obvious, or we know them as with different names, like music, acoustics, physics, painting, art, etc., optical games, etc. Okay, in this case, the maize gods, it is represented in these flutes. Okay, this that we have here are flutes, and they were used also for sure in different rituals. Speaking about the legends, about all the legend of this hero, many of the deities start their legends as heroes. We have the death of the maize god. Okay, we have the maize god here to the right. Again, we can recognize him with the elongated heads, and he's being sacrificed by two different naked women. In the middle, in the midst of rituals, we have guys here performing music. So after his death, it starts the journey of Hamun and his journey through Xibalbá. Xibalbá was the underworld, okay? In the Mayan mythology, the underworld is a place that you need to cross, and arriving to the final stage of the underworld, you will reach the final also stage of existence, and you can finally rest, okay? But we see the maize gods on a boat through the rivers of Xibalba, the underworld. But the Maya maize gods will overcome the death and will reborn. We see to the right, to Hamun, the Maya gods floating on the water, and then finally they are, or he's opening, cracking the earth. Okay, the earth in the Maya religion, it is represented as a turtle shell. So opening this turtle shell and bringing energy again, in this case water, to Hamun, the Maya god of maize, he will reborn and will give the people seeds and will make the earth fertile again to the growing of the plants. Okay, of course, all this is an analogy to the growing of corn. Okay, how their seeds are put on the land, then a plant will grow or will take the best fruits, and they will die again, and with this die will begin again the new cycle of life. This is the idea of all this legend around Hamun, the Maya maize gods. But I was mentioning that the Maya not only, or the corn for the Maya was not only important because it was the food, and in the stories Hamun overcomes the death, but we human beings are part of the creation of the gods, of course, and we are made with corn. Okay, so let me read to you one small fragment of the legends of the creation of the humankind. Okay, at first everything was suspended in silence, motionless and quiet. Nothing had been created. There was only still sea and a calm sky. Even it was dark, the zoomorphic gods Gukumat and Huracan, from these gods comes the word hurricane, the heart of the sky, decided to illuminate the earth, populate it, and create the worlds, the trees, the plains, life, and men. They said, let the water recede, let the voids be filled, let the earth emerge. and so it was. They created also the day and the night. Then they created small and large animals, birds, snakes, jaguars, and each animal had its specific habitat. Let's consider that in this story, in these legends, they created the animals, but they also needed this energy back from the animals. They needed to be worshipped, and the animals had no word or any reasoning to worship the gods. So they created the humankind. But first, they made different tries. They made humans made with clay, but clay was so soft. They made humans made with wood, but they were too tough. So they destroyed these first creations of the humankind with floodings, and the humankind, most of them died. The survivors became different animals like monkeys. So after that, let me keep reading the last part of the legend. The sun was about to rise when four animals, the fox, the coyote, the parrot, and the crow, presented themselves to the gods and accompanied them to a place where yellow and white corn grew abundantly. The gods began to shape these foods, which became the blood and flesh of human beings. Four men were thus created: Balam Kitse, Balam Akaf, Manukhat, and Tiki Balam. They were beautiful, strong, intelligent. They could see and know everything. They were very wise, so much so that the gods began to get annoyed. They come too close, they hear too much, they know the world like us, they seem like gods. And the solution for this, for not letting the men become gods, they created a distraction. So the gods put a veil over the men's eyes, blowing clouds that clouded their sight and hearing. During the night, they created women, and men were very happy and multiplied, populating the earth. Finally, everyone worshipped and adored the gods. So they needed to create this distraction for the men not to become gods. Let me tell you some final insights about the corn, about the maize gods of the Maya. In the classic periods, there was a classic the city of Palenque, and of course, as in many other cities, the Maya maize god has been found, but in this case, this is a very recent discovery made in the year 2022, only last year. This god's head was found in these ponds. Remember that in the mythological version of this god, he was underwater for many times. So in this case, the ponds, it's a representation of the death of Hamun, the god of the maize, and put him underwater in a representation of the journey through the underworld. Again, we see Hamun with this elongated head and the features of the Maya people. Thick nose, curved eyes, also thick lips in most of the cases. Let's consider that even nowadays, I mean, these ancient rituals in Palenque are not the same, but rituals to the corn, the abundance, the fertility are still performed in the Maya region, in Yucatan in this case. We have the Janlil Kosh, sorry, Janlil Kol. Janlil Kol, that's a ritual dedicated to the gods, the different gods, the different energies of the fields, but of course the corn is really, really important in these ceremonials where they still make offerings for the gods, some of the products of the land, retrieving back this energy one more time. In this case, make the substitution of the ancient idols, the ancient gods, with the Christian cross in the syncretism, in the synthesis of the Catholicism. And this is one Maya priest, one modern Maya priest, preparing all the drinks, beverages for all the people. Also, a part of these drinks will be to the lands and for the animals that will be sacrificed in the festival that is during this time of the year, during the harvest time. We see this. It is called the man. That is one Maya priest, and we will see in the coming sessions how different the Maya priest looked like before. This is a traditional dish prepared in this festival, the pibil pollo. Pibil is one of the ancient Maya styles of cooking that also was part of the ritual during the classic Maya period, for example, but with an ingredient that was brought from Europe, the chicken. Pollo means chicken. Pibil pollo is the chicken prepared with this style. And we see the chicken here that is a filling of this, let's say, a cake made with corn. Again, the corn is present in this dish. That's part of this ceremony. But the ancient classic Maya had other less subtle and tough rituals and ways to worship the ancient gods. In this case, the deformatory cradle, it is one of the elements that they use to make these deformed skulls that, depending on the different cities, depending on the different time, only the elite had access, or in other cities, all the populations had this deformation in their skulls. And one of the versions for them to do this, it is to resemble the curved, elongated heads of Hamun. We have many of these different skulls in the different museums of Mexico. So this is part of the ancient ritual. This is part of the ancient beliefs of the Maya. In this case, with this introduction, we have mentioned only one of their gods, Hamun, the god of the maize. But in the next session, especially, we will speak plenty about all the different gods and all the different powers they had, all the different, the energies they represented. Okay, so with this, we finish this first lesson with this first session of the course of Maya Gods and Deities. Okay, guys, remember that if you have liked this course, if you have liked this session, you can donate in the first link that I am typing here, and also in the coming, okay? If you want, and in the second link, you can check the next sessions I'll be doing in World Virtual Tours. The Thursday, we have the closure. We have the last part of the Maya and Mesoamerican mathematics course, okay? So thank you so much. I will open the chat now for you to mention what you want, to comment if you have any comment about this session, and if you have questions, of course, okay? We didn't make an exercise today, but we will have a test and a quiz at the end of the course, okay? How did they elongated the skulls? Okay, we have mentioned that. I suggest to check when is the next session of the their Secrets of the Underworld virtual tour here in this platform, but mainly they had specific cradles, specific machines, and devices to put the babies. They put the people, since they were babies, most of the body was totally blocked during certain amount of time during the day, and with pads made of cotton and wood, they made pressure on the heads, of the babies, the kids, during years and years, several hours a day, for them to grow only, to be able to grow only this way. Okay, that's the way they had these deformations. Did the long skulls make them smarter? Did the brain get bigger? That's a very interesting question, Donna, because that's one of the versions. For some researchers, they had different skills or different points of the brain activated with this. It is only a theory, but it is a very interesting question, and it is possible that the answer is yes. Not more, I don't know if more intelligent, but at least with other different skills or areas of the brain activated. Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Gift. Thank you, Moms. Well, I mean, it's not your name, right? But thank you to Mom's iPhone. I love your lectures. They're so educational. Thank you, Margaret. And regards to South Africa. Awesome, Fredo. So much to learn, so many places to visit someday. Thank you, Mar. Yeah, we mentioned today Palenque, for example, no? But also if you visit nowadays the small villages of the Maya people, you will always discover new things and really, really beautiful things about them. Let's consider that we need to be respectful, okay? People that live in those areas are really hermetic with their knowledge and the people who share that with. But if we look for arrive in a really respectful way, we can learn much of them. Thank you, Lenors. So similar to Preinca civilizations, I guess. I don't know much about that, Merlin, but can be very interesting. The Popol Vuh, yeah, and the Popol Vuh is a book that you can look in internet for free, and it is really, really beautiful. Thank you, Lane. We know the Maya better than the South American groups because they had writing. Of course, Mark, that's a true thing. Outstanding. Thank you, Mocha Joe. Very interesting. I was in Belize, Cayo district about 20 years ago. The pyramids were amazing. Of course, all the archaeological sites around were to visit. Olmec carried Las Limas Lord, the new towns, was that them starting or conquering new city? No, the Olmec shared their knowledge, shared their culture with other cities. Also during the Olmec, the Maya, and the Zapotec, when they shared the same space. The Maya became more warriors, and they started with warfare after that. Before that, they were wars, of course, and struggled for territory, but not as big as the big military of the last part of the classic period of the Maya. Thank you, Dakshida. Some trips in Africa elongate described by binding. They were also places where the neck or ears are length. Same reasons. I don't know if they're the same reasons, but you're right, Polly, that in many other civilizations, I know some of them found in Germany, in Serbia, other people in Africa, and I think even in some parts of Asia, they had this practice of deformating the skulls. And in this course, we will see other type of deformation, like the cross-eye gaze. They wanted to be cross-eyed, and also the incisions in the teeth, for example. Thank you so much, Penny. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Joyce. Incas also did the skull elongation. I believe a good device was used. Yeah, good with cotton, at least for not to be that raw, right? Thank you, Corinne. Welcome, Ashrit joins to end afternoon from Florida. We'll see the recording. Thank you. You remember you can see all the recordings of this course and the previous one in the World Visual Tours page, web page. I have been to Chichen Itza 3 times. So much more to see in the counties. Want to see more? Yeah, in the surroundings of Chichen Itza, you will find very interesting things. Are the Mayan stories about creation similar to biblical stories of creation? Examine the biblical food, creation of animals, and the man, the creation of women. Yeah, let's consider that the Popol Vuh was written by Maya people and Catholic people at the same time. So maybe they also wanted to, maybe this also was a method of all the Mayan to start accepting the new religion. That's why in the Popol Vuh, we will find more of these coincidences. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Abby. This recording available to the session's over. Yeah, it is in YouTube and in the World Visual Tour webpage. Thank you, Asrit. Fascinating. I've studied Carlos Fuentes for years. His exploration of the Mayan beliefs blended with Catholicism is worth checking out, of course. The reading was so much like the creation of the world in the Bible, so exciting. Yeah, we mentioned some of the reasons also for that, but yeah, we will find many coincidences like the floodings, for example. Ancient Egyptians were doing this to their skulls before the Maya civilization. Okay, yeah, many different civilizations around the world. Also, stories of the dream time about among the original peoples of the Pacific and Australasia very similar. Yeah, makes logic. I think they're recording some parts already from the astronomy session. They are similar to the last part in a couple of days, and we'll speak more about astronomy in the coming sessions of this course. Where are you from? I'm from Mexico City. I was in Belize about 10 years ago. We were allowed to climb up the pyramids for better or worse. I think it's not that bad as people may think to actually have this possibility to climb the pyramids as long as it is controlled and well done. Especially Dia de los Muertos too. I remember I saw the one last year. We'll see it again. There will be some parts different celebration this time. I'll bring the special virtual tour of Day of the Dead to all of you. So this is the end of this first session, guys. And let's remember that this project is based on your donation. So for me to keep doing these different presentations for you, you can donate in the first link and checking the coming in the second link. Okay. See you this Thursday. This is the last part of the astronomy and mathematics course. And thank you for your last comments. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Susan. And Ashrit, as always. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend. And I hope this has been interesting and useful for you. See you soon, guys. And